Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for being here. What a pleasure. What an honor. So our prayers to Srila Prabhupada for his blessings, empowerment, and presence. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shonivadi Paskacha Teshe Tarane Jai.
And our obeisances to you. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Narahari Dasa Gurudeveti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shundevari Pasa Desha Dharine Jai Gurudev.
Jai Hare Krishna. Oh, great that you're all here. So we got a few questions today, and our first question actually came in by Lakshman Prabhu, which was an extension of another question that we discussed yesterday. By the way, I'm just right now uploading the other yesterday's Sangha to Vimeo. And if you remind me after class, just take me a minute or two. Once it uploads, and it uploads, and then it does something to get it ready for to be used. Okay. Lakshman Prabhu's question. Hare Krishna Gurudev. I had a follow-up question to our Sangha yesterday. Perhaps I should not have used mystic yoga, but specifically Ashtanga yoga. I thought they were synonymously used by Prabhupada. The answer is no, they were not. My question is, Dhritarashtra heard the Bhagavad Gita through Sanjaya, which includes 1866, Sarvadhamma Bhajam Mumikam Shanam Bhaja. Yet in Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1, text 13, Dhritarashtra quits home, text number 53, on the banks of a Sapasrota. That's Sapasrota. That's on the Ganges. It's a place. It's a location on the Ganges River. Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga yoga, and then liberated this way. Okay, having heard Bhagavad Gita 1866 and all of the Bhagavad Gita, why did he not surrender to the Lord, but instead chose Ashtanga yoga? What lesson is here? Okay, and it says, after all the war and hearing Bhagavad Gita, why was he still unconvinced? Okay, so first of all, let's clarify the difference between Ashtanga yoga and mystic yoga. Now, Prabhupada did not go into much depth teaching us about Ashtanga yoga, the process, or the process of mystic yoga, because neither of them are recommended in this age. They're not going to work. And interesting to know about them. I know a little bit about them, and I can tell you some things that I know from Prabhupada's books. But there's no need for training in this area. Basically, in a word, and I'm going to go into some detail, mystic yoga is, the goal of mystic yoga is to gain mystic powers. And here's some quotes from Prabhupada in that regard. He says, mystic yogis want powers. And then I found a place where he said, real Ashtanga yogis want Paramatma. So the goal of mystic yoga is well, here's some that I listed that Prabhupada talks about. Anima, lagima. Anima means to become smaller than the smallest. Really, really touch. You can go right through a wall. You're so tiny. You could walk through the space between atoms. Lagima, becoming very, very light, lighter than a feather. I mean, light. Anyway, I don't know much. I can't say much about that. Mahima, becoming huge. You can become like when we saw, who was it? Vamanadev. Vamanadev was a dwarf. He was very small. But he was this. I mean, Krishna is Yogeshvar, which means he's the topmost. He can do anything in the yoga system, he can do anything in anything. But he made himself so huge that powers there. Mystic yogis can do that. They can become so gigantic that you can't even tell it's a person. It's just the huge prapti. Prapti, they can reach on other planets and grab flowers or a mango or whatever they want to grab from other places. They can prapti. Oh yeah, this is another interesting one. Ashtanga or vashishta, controlling other people. You can control people. Mystic yogis. You think Donald Trump would like to have that power? He controls people in most horrible ways, right? By threatening them, but you can control people. I think that would be very boring, to tell you the truth, to be able to control people, because what's the point we want to control people with love, but not with some mystic power. Suppose you could make any woman or man fall in love with you by controlling them. What good is that? If you can make them do anything you want, life would get boring, right? So we're not interested in mystic powers. And as I said, or did I say this, that a yogi should reject siddhis, for they are stumbling blocks. So it's just like, for example, we reject going to heavenly planets. Why? I'm going to ask Ellie. Ellie, dear, why do you think that? Why would you not want to go to a heavenly planet when it's so super heavenly there?
There's more opportunity for desire, so it's harder to eventually go to Krishna there because there's more attraction.
Right. You could go there and become sidetracked by the material pleasure. Now, by the way, material pleasure isn't the pleasure of bhakti is infinitely greater than the pleasure of the heavenly planets. It's not even a millisdrop. It's not even like an atom. It isn't real pleasure. It actually is not pleasure. There's nothing pleasurable about being in a holy place for the soul. I mean, but it's like, it's like a great dream, you might say, materially. But when you get a taste of bhakti, it's like, we don't want anything to do with the heavenly planets. So anyway, how did I get on that subject about heavenly planets? What was I talking about?
The yogi rejects the stumbling blocks of siddhis.
Correct.
And then that
Correct.
transition to the heavenly planet.
Thank you. Correct. Yeah. Thank you. That was good. I bet Ellie would have known that. Ellie, did you know where I started? You're usually pretty good. I can count on you to catch me where I left off.
Yeah, I can tell you now.
Yeah. Ellie's good at that. She's sharp. She catches stuff. She can take you right back where you were. You can get her guru back on course. Thank you. Okay, now, So we're not interested in mystic yoga. Did I unsell mystic yoga to everybody? We don't want it. It's a stumbling block. You'll get real powerful and you'll just get lost. You'll forget all about Krishna. Okay. Now, Ashtanga yoga is very different. Ashtanga yoga, especially as taught by Patanjali, he talks about the eightfold yoga system, and that is working towards perfection. There are 8 sort of steps in there. By the way, not recommended in Kali Yuga. It's not going to work in Kali Yuga. But just so you know, the 8 are, not that I have this memorized because it's not something I talk about much, but the 8 steps are yama, which means controlling the senses, niyama, observances, asana, posture, pranayam, breath control, pratyahara, withdrawing the senses, dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, complete absorption in the Supersoul. So the goal of Ashtanga yoga is ultimately to connect with the Supersoul. So we're meditating, we're going in, and step 8 is discovering Supersoul. Now, the problem with that, or the issue with that, I'm not going to call it a problem, but the risk with that is even once you find Supersoul and you're seeing this beautiful form of God, many yogis that attain that, they think, oh, that's me. That's me. And that's Narayan. They're seeing Narayan, Supersoul. But they think it's them. And therefore we see the Maya bodies who go through these stages. They address each other as Narayan. Namo Narayan. I believe when Lord Chaitanya met with the Mayavadis, headed by, oh my God, can't think of his name. Anyway, he addressed the head of the Mayavadis. He addressed Lord Chaitanya, Namo Narayan. And Lord Chaitanya responded with Krishna Matirastu, which means, may you always think of Krishna. Krishna Matirastu. Okay, so, but the goal of Ashtanga Yoga is to find Supersoul, and ultimately, with proper direction and proper guru guiding you, is to understand that is God, and then elevate yourself from there, from the stage of realizing the Supersoul, but realizing that that's a person, that is God, and develop a relationship with him. That's where Bhakti really has to come in. Okay, so now let's go further with your question here. Okay, so getting to the question. Okay, on the banks of the Sapta Srota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga Yoga, and then liberated this way. Having heard Bhagavad Gita 1866, that's Sarvadharma Prapacha, surrender, just give up all forms of dharma and surrender unto me. And all the Bhagavad Gita, why did he not surrender to the Lord, but instead chose Ashtanga Yoga? What lesson is here? So my understanding is when Dhritarashtra quit home, he, as you know, he was blind, and he left with two people. He didn't go alone. Who were the two people that he went with? Anybody?
Gandhari and his brother, the sage's brother. His brother, the
Correct.
sage.
Vidura. Okay, so now he had a great guru. He had a guru with him. So when they went to the bank of the Ganges, he was engaged in Ashtanga yoga. But in his particular case, he had Vidura with him to guide him so that Bhakti would be added. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not sure, because I'm not really a scholar of the Mahabharata, but I'm not sure whether, I know he attained perfection on some level. And I know he, at minimum, obtained impersonal realization. And probably Paramatma realization. And I would imagine with Vidura, he was directed, he would have been adding bhakti so that he attained a complete perfection. But be honest, I'm not real clear on that, exactly what he obtained. And the thing is, in Mahabharata, there's different versions of it, and different things are said. What did Prabhupada say where you were reading that because I haven't read that. It's mentioned a little bit in the Bhagavatam. What did Prabhupada say?
It's in chapter 13, and I left that chapter, and I could have had a misunderstanding, Gurudev, but I left that chapter with the impression that there was two impressions I had. One was that he practiced Ashtanga yoga and he attained a Paramatma, the Paramatma, liberate, like the word of liberation, I believe, was used. So that's where my question popped up, because I just kind of paused with that. And the second part that I wanted to kind of go back and maybe double check on in the reports was I had the sense that it sounded like there was an inimical quality to Dhritarashtra, that's why there was still a leftover inimical quality in the reports, but that's the part where I wanted to double check on, that I might not have understood that correctly.
I'm not, I'll be honest, I'm not real clear on I know that he, I'm almost certain he attained perfection because he, what's the word? Emulated. He made a fire. He made the fire, and his wife Gandhari entered into the fire with him. So he was using that. By the way, that's yogis with those mystic, those powers can do that. And I don't think anybody can do it in this day and age, or they'd want to do it. But anyway, but he created that, and she went with him. And it's also possible I'm sure she went back to Godhead. But him, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure where he went, because the good thing is that Vidura was there, and Vidura was a very, very advanced devotee. His wife was so advanced. And whether he had to finish up some business in the next life, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure, because I've heard both things, but it's just not. I'm not 100% clear. But you say, but you're asking, what is a lesson? And one lesson is that the greatest lesson was that he was weak, and he allowed himself to be controlled by his evil son. Sure you don't. So in one sense, there's a lot of lessons there. We talked a little about that yesterday. That Gandhari was such a faithful wife. And even though he was weak and he certainly wasn't perfect, he had some redeeming qualities, but he was weak. And whether he had to, there's one more step before he went back to Godhead, etc. That I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure I've heard both. And that's the best I can do on that for now.
I like your version better, Guru Dave, because I left these chapters with, it seemed like there was a nice, kind of, we were talking yesterday, the drama that the Lord, we use that term soap opera, and it almost seemed like Dhritarashtra was the one character that was kind of left behind a little bit. And so I like your version better. Thank you, Guru Dave.
Yeah, well, when I said it was like a soap opera, a transcendental soap opera. I mean, there's all kinds of lessons and dharma and all kinds of things to learn there from that. But remember, Prabhupada never focused on the Mahabharata. He just didn't focus on it. His real concern was the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, it's most important, I would say, with the Srimad Bhagavatam. When he came to America, he didn't have Bhagavatam. He waited till the Bhagavatam, at least the first 3 volumes of the Bhagavatam, the first canto was complete. Then he came to America. And it wasn't until, I've mentioned this before, what was it that inspired Prabhupada to translate the Bhagavad Gita? Number one was it was a Srimad Bhagavatam. But why did Prabhupada decide to translate the Bhagavad Gita? This is mentioned. Anybody remember?
There were no other translations that were depicting the Bhagavad Gita as it is. They were all had some kind of motive behind them.
Correct. Yeah, that's basically the answer. Someone asked Prabhupada to recommend a Bhagavad Gita to read. And Prabhupada couldn't recommend any of them. And by the way, especially the purports, Prabhupada used in the very, very early days, an edition by, I think it was by Dr. Radha Krishna. And Prabhupada said it was a pretty good translation, but the purports were all off. The purports were incorrect. So they would read the translation and Prabhupada would give his own purport. But at a certain point, when someone, I'm pretty sure it was a woman, asked him to recommend a Bhagavad Gita, that's when he decided that, okay, he's going to translate. And that was quite a challenge, by the way. I think he had started some manuscript before he came. And somehow I think that got lost and he started over again. And he got quite far with it. And then somebody came and stole it. Some crazy person. But thankfully he left us with Bhagavad Gita. But the most important, in one sense, is the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's such nectar. Because that takes us all the way from we're not the body to Krishna with the gopis. And there's nothing higher. The rasa dance. And by the way, that's just a sample of what's going on with Krishna and the gopis. But it's all there. So that's my answer to your question. And now we have a nice question by Nitai. Okay. Hare Krishna Gurudev. Dandavat pranams, humble obeisances, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. Okay. Yeah, this is a great verse. He's asking about a verse, which is a well-known verse. This is when there's a great king who met the 9 yogendras. These were sons of King Rishabdev, I believe. They were sons of King Rishabdev. And they were enlightening the king. So there's a verse which describes what happens when we leave the spiritual world. And that verse is Bhayantatya viniveshitasya ishara petasya viparyo smriti tanmayato bada abhijetam bhajaiki isham guru devatatma. Essentially, what that verse is saying is that when we turn away from Krishna, when we leave the spiritual world to come into this material world, then Bhayam, the first word is Bhaya, which means fear. Fear enters into our life. In the spiritual world, there is no fear. In the material sense, there's fear, but it's not a duality. Fear and non-fear, where you're not fearful or you're fearful, there's like a good one and a bad one, right? Not being fearless is good, and being fearful is bad. Nobody likes fear. But in the spiritual world, there's also fear, but it's positive. There's no duality. Duality means there's a good and a bad half. In the spiritual world, there's the good, just like happiness and sadness. The gopis are fearful that Krishna might leave. They were fearful Krishna may not come back. And then in some of the pastimes, especially in the Bhoma Lila, they would fight with demons. Demons would come. It's mentioned that in the Bhoma Lila, that's in this material world when Krishna performed his pastimes. Every day they'd slay a different demon. And but they had fun with it. There was fear, just like when the cowherd boys went into the mouth of the Aghasur demon. They were fearful. It smelled fishy. They were fearful. Something. They thought it was a mountain cave, but it didn't smell right. And there's teeth when they were walking in. But they said, hey, anything happens, Krishna will save us. So there's no fear in that sense. Ultimately, there was no fear. Now, fear. What about devotees? Fear, when we take the spiritual life and we start surrendering to Krishna, can work in our favor. Prabhupada said to all of his disciples, he said, you do not fear Maya enough. We should be fearful of falling down. We should be fearful. I mean, I don't want to come back. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm hoping, but if Krishna wants me to stay, that's another story. That's a completely another story. But we should all be fearful that we could fall. That keeps us on. Prabhupada said that practicing Krishna consciousness, it's like a razor's edge. Anyone who has ever shaved with a regular razor, a little inattention, there could be blood, especially with the razors that they have in India. which I think Prabhupada was more referring to. They have these all the razors that they have that I've ever, well, most of them I've seen. They're like a safety razors. You can't cut yourself too bad. But how many people have seen a straight razor? Ellie, you're the youngest. You've seen straight. Actually, yeah, you saw it. Where have you seen a straight razor?
Probably in like an old movie or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
or
never
my
saw one.
grandpa. Maybe
You
my
never
grandpa.
saw.
I don't
Okay, you're not
know.
sure if you ever saw one live.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
When I was
But I
a
know what they
child.
are.
Okay, when I was a child, my mother would take me to the barber shop, and they would use a buzzer, to do, and scissors. But then there was also, I'm not quite sure what they were doing, but there's a certain part, I guess, where they would use a razor, and they would have a strop where they would strop that. Lakshman, you've seen, and I know that Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu, you've seen in India, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Nitai, have you seen? Oh, you saw in India, I'll bet.
Yeah, a barber shop. Yeah, they use it on you.
Yeah. So you're really putting your life in these guys' hands, because with that, they're so sharp. They could just slit your throat in a heartbeat. Take all your money, right? And in a second, they could just slit your throat. So Prabhupada says it's like shaving, and I think he was really referring to, because I don't think at that time Prabhupada even ever saw a regular Western razor. But even then, you can cut yourself. So there's certain things we need to fear, which is healthy. In fact, there's a verse in the Bhagavatam. No, it's not in the Bhagavatam. It's in, but Prabhupada quotes it. He says, Bishasmad vadapavate bishodeti suryaha, Bishadmad agnischandrascha mrityu davati panchamam. That the bishasmad vadapavate, that the air is blowing in fear, the demigods. Bishasmad bishodeti suryaha. The sun is rising and going through all of its stages out of fear. Bishakmat Agnis Chandasha. That means that fire is burning out of fear, and Bisho Deti Surya and the Chandrasha. The moon is going through its phases out of fear of the Lord, and death is chasing the individuals out of doing its job out of fear of the Lord. Now, that does not mean that they're feeling fear. The example I like to give to explain this, it's like people at the bank handle lots and lots of money, or people that just work in stores. They have access to all kinds of things. And though they may not overtly be thinking it, but there's a subtle fear that's there of stealing. They get caught. If they didn't have that fear, if people that worked in stores knew, or like if you go, suppose you went shopping and you knew you could steal anything you want and you wouldn't get caught. How many people would be stealing in stores? Most people. Help yourself to whatever you want if you knew you're not going to get caught. Now, I don't know everybody, but lots of people. I've seen where Well, anyway, I'll drop it at that. But you have the idea there's like a subtle, that little bit of fear keeps honest people honest, probably including myself. I don't know. But if you could just help yourself to anything. So there's that subtle. So the demigods, it's mentioned that they're working out of fear of the Lord, but it doesn't mean they're in gross fear. It's that they understand that they don't want to mess up. So us having some subtle fear, it works. It works. It's helpful in the material world. Just like devotees may know their weaknesses and their trigger points, and they'll avoid certain things because they know it could be, maybe a devotee was, say, an alcoholic before or a drug addict, and he knows, I don't want to, oh, my certain friend's calling, an old friend, I don't want to take his call. Could be a trigger point. So fear is normal in this world. But the Bhagavatam is talking more subtly that we're very fearful in this world, and it's painful. I mean, you don't know when you're going to die. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, am I getting cheated? Am I going to like this? And their fear is always there. In pretty much anything you do, everything's risky in this world. Everything's risky. You get in an automobile. I mean, I don't know how many people are killed every day on the highways. Tons. Lakshman, you looking that up? How many people in the world die in automobile accidents every day? Lakshman will tell us.
It said 100 and this is in the U.S. Guru Dave, 100 to 120, 100 to 120 daily, but in the U.S.
Okay, between 100 and 120 people die every day. So that must mean several hundred are badly injured every day, severely injured. These are just the ones that die. But the ones that walk away with terrible broken bones and scars, and it's dangerous. Everything's dangerous. So that fear is kind of always there in everything. Is my relationship going to fall apart? Is this going to happen? There's always something. There's always, and it's Kali Yuga, so things, they don't go well. I mean, there's a good reason to fear in this world. I'm starting to really feel fear for America in one sense with this crazy president. And he's getting away with everything. It's crazy. It's a great country founded on religious freedom of speech. It's where Krishna consciousness movement really exploded. Lord Chaitanya's movement exploded in America. And from America, it went everywhere because people follow Americans. And now what's happening? I mean, poor Ellie, who has a 3-year-old daughter. I mean, she's probably every second she's worried. Where is she? Who's with her? What's happening? And as soon as you have her in your arms, it's like, everything's okay. But there's danger at and that'll be there your whole life, having a child. Did they marry the right guy? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? It's always fear. That's not there in the spiritual world, in the negative sense. So as soon as we turn away from Krishna, that's where the real material fear starts. And we're always afraid. But when we're with Krishna, there's nothing to fear. I'm sure Ellie's daughter, Leela, you know, she this fear, that fear. But when she's in her mommy's arms or her daddy's arms, she's fearless. It's like, wow. So it's kind of like that when we're back with Krishna. There's nothing to fear. So that's Nitai. Let me see if that answered your question to my satisfaction. Okay, so when Durvas Muni created this fiery monster to kill Ambarish, Ambarish is a pure devotee. He had absolutely no fear at all. He didn't even pray to Krishna to protect him. He just knew he was a pure devotee. He knew he was so advanced. There's no fear. What realizations on the correlation between bhakti and fear? Well, fear can help us. Material fear can help us. It should be there. We don't want to come back again. Kali Yuga's gotten so bad in my lifetime. And even Ellie, she's the youngest. Ellie, hasn't this world changed radically since you were a babe, since you were a child?
Drastically. Even just since like high school, it's changed so much. This last 20 years. Yeah.
It's gotten scary. Mass murders every day are like nothing. They're like third page in the paper. We never had a president like we have now that's trying to destroy democracy. I mean, the world's going way downhill. We don't want to come back. Trust me. We don't want to come back to this Kali Yuga. But the fear can help us in spiritual life. We want to look around and run to Krishna or Guru. We feel safe with Guru and safe with Krishna. Okay. The bhajan, Bhajahu Remana. Well, that's a beautiful bhajan. Bhajahu Remana. This is, who was it that wrote this song? This was, it wasn't Narottam Das or Bhakti Vinod. Lochan. Was it Lochan Das? Lochan Das Thakur. Bhajahu Remana. Srinandanandana. Abhaya Charana Vindure. So he's praying to his mind. And he's saying, my dear mind, Bhajahu Srinandanandana. Please worship Lord Nandanandana, the son of Maharaj Nanda. Abhaya Charana Vindure. In this way, you'll always be fearless. When we connect with Krishna, there's no fear. In one of the dreams I had before, my work truck fell in the ocean, and it was eminent to me that I was going to die. By the way, you never told me the story. You never told me about your truck. You were in the truck, your work truck?
I had shared before, yeah. A long time ago.
Oh, tell me again. I don't remember. Tell us all.
No, it was the dream. So I was.
It was a dream. It was a dream. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. It was a dream. All right. Then maybe you told me. I didn't. Okay. So what was the dream?
Yeah, the dream just the truck fell in the ocean. Then in the ocean, like the thought came that okay, I'm done. Like I'm gonna die. But what would be the ultimate thing to do now? And the word came in the mind, Krishna. And the Krishna, after you hear the word Krishna, then it's like no more anxiety or worry.
Yeah. Krishna will be there for us. We don't have anything to fear. Pretty much even at any stage, because whatever we've done, worst case scenario, we'll come back and finish up.
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want to go there. When devotees ask Prabhupada, you probably heard me say this before, Prabhupada, if we don't make it, are you going to come back and get us? What was Prabhupada's answer? Anybody remember? Have I ever discussed this here? Hold on. Hello?
Hello.
Gordon.
Hi, Howie.
Hi.
Are you home?
I'm home. Yeah, I'm giving a class right now.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Real quick, my friend Randy was out wheelboarding, and his buddy hit a reef and broke something, so they need to borrow some tools.
Okay, sure.
They're going to come here to the pier and come up to the house. I told them, bring on your tools. And then if you can't find them, give me a call.
Oh, you're not home?
I'm not home.
Okay. Are they tools that I might have? Do they need just basic tools?
He needed a torch, the torch head, and I told him that in case if he gets there and if you're available.
I'll be at my class is going to end in 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I'll watch for them. Perfect. I'll be watching for them. Now, if they show up early, I can end the class, but that's fine. It's only the class ends in 10 minutes, so I'm here and I'm facing out as I always do towards the ocean. So I'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Right.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. I guess a friend of the fellow I live with here on this property, some people, they had something broke down in their boat or their kayak or something. They're going to come in to borrow some tools. Were you able to hear me speaking?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so where did we leave off?
You said
Ellie, where did we leave
Prabhupada.
off?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, yeah, Prabhupada. So, what did Prabhupada say? When the devotees asked him, will you come back and get us? I mean, maybe I never told you.
I think he said, don't make me come back, something.
Yeah. He said, what? You want to cause me some trouble?
Right.
He didn't like that question.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like it. Just everything will be fine. Just follow the path. I see some boat heading this way, but I'm not sure if it's heading this way or not. If that boat comes, I'll have to run. Any other question? Okay, then I'm going to get ready to go. I'll change my clothes and get ready to help this guy get what he needs so he can fix his boat. He may want to do it here at our place. So I'm going to go turn into a boatsman and help him out. Well, thank you all for being here today. And, wow, I wish well. Anybody needs me in the meantime, you know where to find me. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada
Thank you.
Jai.
Jai Prabhupada. Jai Gurudev.